Let us enter the Space Center at Moss Deep City and get all these Team Magma members defeated. And I try to just not fast forward through this gameplay, but when they just send out these weak, trash, garbage, subpar Pokemon, aka Zubat and gang, Zubat, Poochyena, and friends, maybe a Carvana is like kind of, good, but it's no Sharpedo. And even Sharpedo's alright. So I'm just going to fast forward through some of that. And we're going to get to a little double battle. And we're going to be on Steven's team. And Steven is probably the best trainer in all of Hoenn. There's really just no stacking up against him. Because all the other trainers, Rocket members, or sorry, not Rocket members, they're Team Magma or Team Aqua. Team Rocket was Gen 1, Gen 2. This is Gen 3. So all the other trainers in Hoenn, they just have the same basic Pokemon, it seems like. If you're a swimmer, you got a Tentacool, maybe a Staryu, maybe a Spheal. They're all just so bad. But thankfully, Magma Leader Maxie and his admin have evolved forms of these mediocre Pokemon. So that's providing a slight bit of challenge. But because of the in-game trades challenge that I'm doing, my Pokemon are getting boosted XP, so I'm just shooting way up in levels, way over everyone, even Steven. Even Steven. But at this point, Steven does have a Metang. I'm glad he didn't send out a Beldum because that would have just been embarrassing for our team. And I want to say Metang stays out the whole fight except until the very end. Yeah, well actually no, maybe 2/3 of the way through. And he sends out his Aggron. We don't get to see Skarmory, but it's interesting that he's running basically an all-steel team. But I'm pretty sure in the final battle with Steven, he doesn't have an all-steel team, just a slight variety. But you want to have as much variety as you can, of course, when playing Pokemon. You want all 6 of your Pokemon to not share any typing whatsoever, because a lot of Pokemon by now have dual typing. In Gen 1, there was a good amount of dual typing, but most of the Pokemon were just strictly one type. So, of course, to branch out from that, they have to have dual typing to really mix it up. And almost every dual type combination has been done, I believe, except for maybe there's just a couple left they haven't touched on. So, I haven't played Sword and Shield, but maybe they'll touch on it in that generation. Or the next one, they'll just completely have one dual typing for every combination you can think of, whether it be fire grass, which is contradictive, or ghost water. And I'm sure some of those already exist. I just don't know what they are because I haven't really played much of the newer gens. But we get to see Steven's Aggron, and Aggron is probably right up there in my top 10 list of favorite Pokemon. But his predecessor is Tyranitar, in my opinion, because in Gen 2 and in the Johto region, you play through Gold, Silver, or Crystal, and you couldn't catch a Larvitar or a Pupitar until way later in the game after you beat the Elite Four and all 16 gym leaders. Yes, there were 16 gym leaders in the Johto region for Gen 2. If you don't believe me, look it up. I've played through Gold, Silver, and Crystal many times. And then you come out in Gen 3 and you can't catch an I'm going to call him Aron. It's like Aron. Is it Aaron? I don't think it's Aaron because that's double A. I'll just call him Aron. You can't catch an Aron or what's the middle evolution between Aron and Aggron? I can picture it, but I just can't remember the name of it. But anyways, you can't catch an Aron until way later in Gen 3. So it's such a good Pokemon, but it just kind of defeats the purpose that you can't get to it till later in the game. I like to enjoy my team from the start as early as possible and then watch them grow and evolve and learn all these cool moves throughout the whole playthrough. And that's another thing, because you want to have a dragon type usually, because dragon types are so powerful, and you can't get a Bagon, which eventually would evolve into Salamence, again until way later in the game. I believe you need Dive in order to get to him in one cave, or I know you need Waterfall, I know that, but I'm not sure if you need Dive. Either way, it's going to take a long time to get to him. And actually, now that I think about it, I have all 8 HMs. I just need the 8th gym badge from Sutopolis City, and then I can use water. I think, yeah, I need that for Waterfall. So I have to beat the 8th gym leader, and then I can use Waterfall to go into that one cave, and I can catch Bagon, and I can trade Bagon. I gotta remember where he gets traded to, because in the in-game trade challenge for Emerald, you trade a Bagon for Horsey, which I think is not a good deal for the player whatsoever. For the NPC in the game, sure, that's an amazing deal. They get a Bagon with boosted XP. I would love to have that, but unfortunately not. And the doors close the Sky Pillar, so I take a little gander at Evergreen. You need Waterfall to get up there to that city. So I come on back after fighting all these swimmers. And by the way, historically, swimmers, they pay you nothing. They are so cheap and so dirt poor. And all they do is swim all day in the ocean, but they can't even save up enough money to give you a good amount for beating them. So that's funny. So and then we got a Nose Pass. I don't think Nose Pass evolves. Nose Pass is decently strong. It has Rock Slide, Sandstorm. It can put a hurting on your team if you have some normal types on your team, which I almost never have normal type Pokemon on my team. It's just, I don't know, it's just not exciting to me. You don't have a cool, I guess they do have Hyper Beam, but a lot of Pokemon that aren't normal type can learn Hyper Beam, so it doesn't seem that special. Whereas a move like Fire Blast or Hydro Pump or Thunder, which my Plusle has, seems special and really cool. So I'm gonna hop in a double battle with these Team Aqua members, and I had to look up where their hideout was because I haven't played this generation in so long. I still haven't played the remix Omega Ruby nor Alpha Sapphire, but I will have to play those one day. They should be on ROM, and I can play it and make gameplay of it, put it up here on YouTube. But before I do that, I have to get a ROM of Platinum. I'm sure it exists. I just have to figure out where, and I can, because I want to do a playthrough of every gen up until like Black and White 2. And any game after that, Pokemon-wise, I heard it kind of is mediocre. It kind of sucks because unfortunately, they cater to the younger kids these days who, for whatever reason, apparently can't figure anything out for themselves, because the newer Pokemon games what's after White and Black 2? Is it X and Y? And then you have Sun and Moon, and then Sword and Shield. Apparently, the tutorials are just, insane, and they're just overarching in the whole playthrough. You can't get away from them. You're trying to go through an area, and it's constantly trying to give you tutorials, and apparently you can't shut them off, which would be really annoying. So I'm not really about that. I like to walk through an area, figure out the best way to get through, which Pokemon are here, and how to, set up for double battles if I want or not. And also, I heard in Sword and Shield, some of the areas are so easy to get through. There's nothing to figure out. There's no kind of puzzle to get through an area, because some places you might get stuck in previous generations, and you'd have to find the correct way to maneuver through. But apparently, in newer generations, it's just kind of like a very straight through, no nonsense, don't even need to think about it, which is not very fun in my opinion. Because I like the world of Pokemon. To me, has always seemed about adventure and exploring and figuring things out and finding all the little secret items hidden around, and maybe even the kind of secret trainers that you wouldn't run into normally, but they're kind of off the beaten path, so to speak. So we beat Team Aqua member Archie, and then he has the red orb. It's going to awaken Kyogre, and that does kind of seem backwards to me, but I'm just going to let it go. Like, wouldn't the blue orb awaken Kyogre and vice versa? And there's no green orb. Rayquaza just is already awake. So that's interesting. But, I didn't write the story. Not that I could have written a good story probably for Hoenn, unless I had a lot of time and my creative juices were flowing. So now Archie and Maxie have basically together wreaked havoc on the Hoenn region. So we're going to have to come out here and solve their problems. And in the game, we're literally a kid. They're going to entrust the fate of Hoenn and perhaps even the world, because apparently Kyogre and Groudon's fight is world-shaking and world-destroying. that they're going to entrust the savior of the world to us. We're going to claim that title. And it's really not much to do. You just go up and see Rayquaza. He flies off. I think he's already awake, possibly, because you don't need an orb or anything. And then he kind of screams at Groudon and Kyogre as they're fighting in Sootopolis City, and then that's just kind of it. You're like a hero in the whole region. So that's kind of fun. I'm gonna go and rebattle this karate guy. I battled him earlier off screen, if you will, but he called me back, so I'm like, okay, no problem, on the match call. So I'm just gonna go ahead and try to take him down. I have no more thunders, and his revenge just wrecks me. So I guess revenge is similar to what's that move? I think it's called counter in Gen 1. It was when they introduced it. You went to the, I want to say third, maybe fourth. I want to say the second or third floor. No, I want to say third floor of the big Celadon market. What's it called? The Celadon department store. And you would go in there, I think to the third floor, and the guy was just leaning on the counter, and he would give you TM18 counter. He's like, not the counter I'm leaning on, mind you, but it's an actual technical machine. It's a move. So you would wait for a Pokemon to attack you. You would sustain damage. You would use counter right after, and you would deal back double the damage. So I think Machoke just kind of has a special version of that. Maybe it's a fighting type move, whereas counter, I believe, was a normal type move in Gen 1. So revenge just does double back, I believe. So Wallace says, don't fail us. And Wallace was way overqualified, but he's like, you know what? Let's just have a child do this instead of me, because I obviously have more important things to do rather than save the region and possibly the world, which I don't know what that would be. Is he just going to... I think he just stands outside and watches Kyogre and Groudon. So I guess your Rayquaza was actually kind of asleep, maybe just putting his head down, his or her. I guess legendaries have no gender, so got to be gender neutral here. But we're just gonna fly back off. It's nice if when you get to the top of these towers, like in this one and in Gen 2, when you go to battle Ho-Oh, you're on the top of the tower, so you don't have to climb all the way back down. You can just fly off and be off to wherever you want to be. Of course, as long as you have HMO to fly. And here it is. It's just a little bit of cut to this animation, and we just watch Rayquaza come in. Rayquaza, if I'm not enunciating very well on the audio here, but he's gonna come down like Jesus from heaven and save the day, save the basically eternity, because I'm sure there's no like time limit you can put on Emerald or any of the Pokemon games. I think you can just put as many hours on a save file as you can muster. Seriously. So Rayquaza's gonna do his little scream. He gets exit stage left, and all is back to normal. And I was just trying to get that out of the way, because now we have the HMO 7 waterfall, but in order to use it, we're gonna go battle the 8th gym and the final gym of the Hoenn region. So we'll do that next video. Thank you guys for watching, and make sure to remind me if I forget that we need to get Bagon. We need to catch him in the next installment of my series. So that would be part 15. I believe this is part 14. Thank you for watching. I'll see you later.